and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to walk you through your first hive inspection after installing a new nuke of bees. My name is Jara and I teach others how to garden, grow food, raise backyard chickens, and keep bees. If these topics interest you, make sure you subscribe to my channel because I post educational and inspirational videos on these topics on a daily basis. Alright, let's get started. I recently installed 2 nukes into 2 new hives, and now it's time for me to check up on their progress. This first inspection is crucial to ensure that the bees are setting up well in their new hive and that the queen is laying eggs. I want to see them building new comb and expanding into their new beehive boxes and frames. This is a good indicator that they have accepted their new homes and are doing well. I'm going to guide you through the whole process step by step. I'm going to light up my smoker first before I start putting on all of the gear because I'm in Florida. It's already 85 degrees outside this morning and I am melting, so I'm going to be even more hot after I put on my beekeeping suit. But I just wanted to mention that I got these bee smoker pellets from Amazon and they have a pleasant smell, and I love these things because sometimes I'll use like sticks and leaves or whatever that I find around the property to light up my smoker, and when the wind blows that smoke into my face, it's rough. Like, it smells or it burns my eyes. So I found this stuff on Amazon and gave it a try, and I really like it. And by the way, anything that I'm using here, the hives, the gear, everything, if you want to get the same ones, I've linked everything down below in the description. All right, I'm all ready. The first thing we're going to do is open up the lids and we're going to smoke the bees to calm them down a little bit. Let's smoke the entrance. You can hear them buzzing. All right, let's remove this lid. Underneath this lid, I have a top feeder. It's what I decided to go with this hive, so I have to remove all of that stuff. The brand of this top feeder is called Saracell. I decided to get this one in particular because it's a very large capacity top feeder. The reason why I had to get something that was large capacity is because all of my bees are on my aunt's property and I only come here a couple times in a month. So I need to make sure that they have something that holds a lot of solution, so that way they don't run out in between my visits. And it wasn't that expensive in my opinion. It was about $35 for this top feeder. It's going to last me forever. I'm really happy with the materials and everything. It's really heavy duty. And it's awesome because if you put a feeder that goes inside of the hive, that is taking up space where the bees could be building out more comb or honey for you. So I decided to switch to the top feeder and I'm really happy with that. This tool is essential for the beekeeper. This is called a J-hook, and I use it to pry things apart and lift up the frames. All right, I have a problem here. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I messed up. I'm a new beekeeper, so definitely this is a learning experience. I made a big mistake here. When I first got my bees, I didn't have any kind of feeder yet. I was waiting for the Saracell to arrive in the mail. The person where I bought my bees from just gave me some of these inside feeders, which was great. Last week, I took these out because the Saracells had arrived and I installed the Saracells on the top here, but I forgot to bring in the frames to fill in those gaps. And now they built up comb all in this. And I didn't think they were going to, and I totally underestimated that. So when I pulled off that Saracell, it broke all of this comb here that they were building. It looks like it's just full of honey. I don't see any larvae in those cells. It just looks like the bees are putting honey in there, which is a good sign. I'm not going to be able to put another frame in here unless I clean that out. I do have to pry these out to do the inspection though, so I'm probably going to end up breaking that all apart. But I'm going to tell you right now, they are not happy. I just destroyed a lot of comb. And I will say, I'm new to this. I have not been able to identify the queen bee. What you want to look for is that at least you can see like new larvae and eggs, because that's an indicator that she's in here, she's alive and well. I want to check my new frames that I put in here. These first 5 right here were the original that came with the nuke that I purchased, and they were already full of comb. So a good indicator that they're growing and expanding is that they've now moved and started building comb on these 3 new frames here. This J-hook has this dip here at the end, so it makes it really easy to hook onto a frame and pry it out. All right, so this one is pretty empty. They haven't really built anything at all. I do see a tiny bit of wax being built on there. So they're starting to build like their little hexagonal holes where they're going to deposit honey or whatever it is that they decide to build in here. So they're starting to move on to this frame. Usually the bees will work from the inside out. So they will fill up the inner frames first and then move their way out. These bees are just connecting all of these frames in the middle. Like, I feel bad propping these things out because it's breaking their comb, but I don't see any other way to do it. I still don't see the queen bee. That's going to take some practice identifying the queen bee. The way that you know it's a queen bee is because she's significantly bigger than the rest of the bees. The worst thing would be if I squished the queen bee. That's an emergency, basically. So you do want to get good at identifying her so you can keep her safe. Some people even capture her before doing a whole inspection, like in a little queen bee cage, just to make sure she's safe. All right, both of these frames are literally stuck together. I think maybe there was too much space in between them, and so they're just building comb everywhere. All right, here's the second frame. There's a lot more wax on it. So this is one of the newer frames, and as you can see, they're starting to build wax in there, and they're little hexagon-shaped holes, so that way they can fill it up with pollen or honey, eggs, whatever they decide. This is a good indicator that they're starting to expand and fill up the newer frames. Let's go on to the next frame. All right, I'm a little perplexed by the structure of this one. They started building it like this, downwards, instead of this. This is what it's supposed to look like. They're making all of their little hexagon holes. They're filling it up with honey, is what I can tell. You could tell it's honey because it's all shiny and like glistening. If there was eggs in there, it would look like a tiny little piece of rice in the hole. If anyone can explain to me why the other side looks like this, please let me know. My theory is there was too much space between this side and the next frame, so they started building it in this kind of pattern. Just let me know in the comments, please. And guys, please be gentle with me in the comments. I know I'm an amateur. This is literally the third time I've been opening this up. I'm very happy to learn and to try something new. So now I'm finally in the inner portion with the original 5 frames that I bought with the Nook. And these were already full when I bought them, like absolutely full. I still haven't seen any larvae or eggs, and I want to make sure that the queen is still laying fresh eggs. That's a good indicator that she's still in here and the hive is totally okay. All right, so here's what this frame looks like. There are some bees hatching out as we speak, so that's a good indicator. That means that there is larvae in here, and they have now hatched out to a mature bee. Can you guys see that? You can see his little head wriggling out right in the center. He's being hatched as we speak. He's coming out, his head and half his body now. See? Now he's fully out. I'm going to assume that all of these capped cells are more larvae that are ready to be hatched out into mature bees. That's a lot of bees. And I'm assuming that because I saw it happen. I saw the bee hatch out. These cells here up in the corner are a different color. It could be pollen that they're storing up or more honey. As I do more and more inspections, I will learn more every time. All right, so let's put this one back. It's really hard. I don't want to squish anybody. Let's get the frames nice and close. That was one of 5 of the original Nuke frames. This one also looks like the one before. I see more hatching out. I also see the bees drinking honey right out of the cells. Pretty cool to watch. So now I know the difference here. And you can tell just by watching them, you can figure it out. It's really cool. All of these are the capped brood. They're going to be hatching out as new mature bees. And this stuff up here, I see all the worker bees literally dunking their heads in here and drinking that nectar or honey. So these are probably capped honey cells that they're using to feed the brood and the larvae and themselves as the worker bees so that they can go out and continue doing what they do. I don't see any larvae yet. They're white colored, they look like little worms and basically about the size of a grain of rice. There's some bright yellow colored cells right underneath this finger right here in the middle. I think that's bee bread. It's some mixture they make with honey. And now I do see some of the larvae. So these frames are black in color. So that way you can point them in the direction of the sunlight and it will help you see those little white larvae a lot easier. And as soon as I did that, I could see them all. In here are a bunch of little white worms. That's the uncapped larva. So the worker bees will feed these larvae as they grow. And once they get to a certain age, they will cap them. And that's when they start their transformation into a bee and then hatch out. As soon as I turn this in the direction of the sun, I could very easily see their little white worm bodies. They look like grubs. There's a whole bunch of them right in here. All right, so I've seen everything that I wanted to see. I wanted to confirm that the queen bee is here because she's still laying fresh larvae, and those larvae are being taken care of. They're maturing and hatching out as new worker bees for the colony. I got to scoot all these frames because I have to put in the remaining 2 frames or 3 frames that were supposed to go in here. I guess I am going to have to break apart this comb. This comb right here looks like all honey. So don't make this newbie mistake, guys. Make sure that you don't leave a space in here. I should have went back home immediately and brought the frames and filled this in. They are so upset with me. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on the microphone. Just they're buzzing. The louder they are, the more upset they are. I've been tampering with this hive longer than I would like, but I'm trying to learn, and I messed up here. That caused definitely some delay. They built up all of that comb so quickly. I didn't know bees could build like this quick. I got to get rid of this because if I don't, they're just going to fill this whole block up, and I really need to put frames in here. So don't make the same mistake as me. They are really upset, guys. I need to hurry up and finish this, but the worst part is yet to come when I remove this crazy looking frame right here. I'm so sorry, guys. They worked so hard to build this, and now I gotta destroy it. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Unfortunately, I have to break it off. This was the original lid that went on top before you put the telescoping lid on the hive, but I had to take it off since I have the cell top feeders. You don't use these anymore when you have a top feeder. Oh man, guys, and I found my queen bee. It's very obvious. She's huge. She is way bigger than the other bees. She's just significantly bigger, and she was like more black looking. So I tried to grab my camera to show you guys, and I think she ran inside already. But at least I know she's in there. These are Italian honeybees too. They're supposed to be really docile, and they are so far. I haven't got bit, but I'm also in full gear. I'm not taking any chances. But let's pull that comb out. I'm glad I saw her because she was actually out here on some of the comb that I had scratched off. So pretty dangerous situation. I could have squished her doing that, but she was sitting like right there on some of that comb. So I know she's not on this big chunk right here that I'm about to pull out. Oh man, this stuff is so soft. It's just going to fall apart. It sucks because I do see a lot of honey in here, but I also see some larvae and some capped brood. It's just a mix of everything. All right, so let's put our frames back in. I've seen enough. I saw the queen bee. That was great. I wasn't even expecting that today. And I could see that they are building and expanding for sure, even if it's not on the new frames like I wish or prefer. This is a 10 frame box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got all 10 frames in there. So it's all set the way that it should have been. So now I'm going to say goodbye to my bees. They have endured enough in one day. I'm smoking them to push them all down. I don't want to squish anybody when I put the tops back on. All right, they've cleared out. Now I'm going to put the Ceracell feeder back on top. I got to refill this with some solution. They literally drank all of the solution that I had put in this last week. So you just fit this right on top, just like you would a box. Then you pour your solution right here in the middle. Pour our solution in here. After inspecting this hive, I have concluded that there are larvae, there's capped larvae, there's bees actively being hatched, and they're expanding onto their new frames. And those are all the signs that I was looking for. Lastly, I can tell they are building a ton of honey. There's honey everywhere. Unfortunately, I had to break a lot of it. But now that I've properly put in the frames, it should help control the situation, and they will be putting on their new comb the correct way. After a few inspections, you will start to learn what looks normal, so that way you can easily identify when something is wrong or out of the ordinary. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or tips for me as a new beekeeper, please comment below. I learn just as much from you guys as you do from me.